Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your online lecture series of W222 Microprocessor Systems. This is your first lecture of week 10, your lecture number 28, and in this lecture we are going to discuss the arithmetic logic instructions that are available in the basic instruction set of PIC microcontroller, the read, modify, write instructions, their limitations and their uses, and the binary coded decimal numbers and the decimal adjust command in PIC microcontrollers. So let's start with read, modify, write operations. Read, modify, write operations are those operations that try to read, modify and write back the contents of a single register using one instruction, not multiple instructions. It can be explained using a simple example of complement. In PIC18, we have a command COMF. COMF complements a file register. Whatever file register we give here will be complemented. The contents of that particular location of that particular register will be complemented. Now let's assume this file register was your port A. To complement port A, we first need to read what currently are the contents of port A. Let's assume port A is equal to 11000110. Now when we want to complement this number, our processor will first read it, then it will change the ones to zeros and the zeros to ones, and then write the modified version back to the port A. And that complement operation will be performed in a single instruction, not a single machine cycle, but a single instruction. There can be many different micro operations involved in this one. The point to note here is that when we try to read, modify and write back the contents of a single register, we need some temporary location, some temporary place where we can store these initial contents, because at the same time we cannot read them, modify and write them back again. So that temporary register is usually a latch. Every port has a latch register associated with that. We have ports A through E in our PIC18 microcontroller. So this means we have lat A to E also in our PIC18 microcontroller. The purpose of this lat is to store the temporary data, then modify it and then write it back to port. So now port A will be 0011 1001. Another example of read, modify, write operation is add WF. Add WF will add the contents of W register to the file register. This file register specified by the field F. Now for this purpose, what the processor needs to do is to read this file register, add it, add W to it, and then write the result back to file register. Same rule implements when your file register now is a port. So for example, you write add WF port A. What this instruction will do is, this instruction will add W register and the contents of port A and store them into port A. But this instruction will most probably not work. It depends upon the compiler and it depends upon the controller. But sometimes the read modify write instruction of add will not work on directly the port A. We need some temporary location where we can store the intermediate data, and thus we have to write add wf let A. So what this will do is, it will copy the contents of port A into lat A, then it will add W register with it, it will move to lat A, and that will be copied back to the port A. So using the latch register will let you perform read, modify, write operations in runtime on a port. The simplest example we can write is clear f trace A. What this will do is, this will make port A as output. Then move LW B 10101010 and move WF port A. So that will make port A equal to 10101010. Now we want to complement this port A, complement F port A. Now we cannot write port A, we will write lat A. What this will do is, this will copy the contents of port A to latch register, then it will complement latch A, and then it will copy it back to port A. All this will be done automatically, but you will have to choose the latch A here. If you write port A, that would be incorrect. That will not work. There will be no error, there will be no compilation error. That is the downside here. But your code will compile, but it will not run as it should have. So you should be very careful while using the read, modify, write operations, and you should use the latch register for those operations. Okay, now let's come to the arithmetic logic operations that are available in PK-Teen microcontroller. By looking at the instruction set of PK-Teen microcontroller, we can add, subtract, multiply, divide, and or increment, decrement, complement, rotate right, rotate left, and swap different numbers. These numbers may be placed within a file register or a working register or any other special function register. So all these arithmetic and logic micro operations can be performed using the basic instruction set of PK-Teen microcontroller. We already know what does AND, OR, increment, decrement, complement, rotate right and rotate left, and even swap means. So we don't need to go into the details of these specific instructions. They don't involve any overflow or carry or these kind of issues. The size of result will be equal to the size of your operands. The size of result will not change in case of logical instructions. But in case of arithmetic operations, the size of result can vary from the size of operands. For example, in an 8-bit microcontroller, we already know that we can count up to 255 inside a single register. What if we already have 255 inside a register and we add 10 to that? What will happen? It will overflow. The register will overflow. So the carry will become 1 and the register value will become 10. Now this carry, if we, let's say, if we concatenate this carry with the 8-bit register, that total 9-bit number will be equal to 265. How? 255 is equal to 11111111 and 10 in decimal is equal to 1010. When we add them, it will become 1 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 and 1. So this means that it will be equal to 9, not 10. Let me confirm using a calculator. If we go to the base n mode and we write 265 in decimal, let's see what it is in binary. Yes, 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 1. So your register will be equal to 9 and your carry will be equal to 1. This means that your result could not be contained within a single register and your result size exceeded the size of your operands. Same can be the case with multiplication. And in case of division, the size of result will not exceed the size of operands, but there may result in quotient and remainder. So in this case, in case of arithmetic operations, we have to keep in mind some certain flags and certain limitations. We will do some examples from Mazidi's book, page number 174, page 174 of the file, and page number 157 of book itself. So we will do some examples from your Mazidi's book, and then that will clarify that how these operations can be, these instructions can be used to perform operations on numbers that are greater than 8-bit. Okay, so this is example 5-2 of your Mazidi's book. In this example, it is stated that the file register RAM locations 40 to 43 hexa have the following hexadecimal values. Write a program to find the sum of these values, and at the end of the program, location 6 of the file register should contain the lower byte and location 7 should contain the higher byte of the sum. The statement is that location number 40 to 43 hexadecimal 40, that is equal to 7D hexa, 41, that is equal to EB hexa, 42, that is equal to C5 hexa, and 43, that is equal to 5B hexa. So these locations contain these values, and what we need to do is we need to add them. So let's add them here. First, let's add them here. In hexadecimal number, we have 7D plus EB plus C5 plus 5B. The hexadecimal sum will be equal to 288H. Now 288H means 0010 1000 1000. So as we can see that all the numbers, all the operands are 8-bit numbers. 7D is 0111 1100, EB, C5, 5B. All of them are 8-bit numbers. But the result, the sum of all these numbers is a 12-bit number, that is greater than 8-bit, that cannot be contained inside a single register. So what we have to do is we have to keep accumulating that carry after each individual sum into a single register. Let's do it using a code. Let's write an example code for this purpose. So first of all, we will define that where we want to store our result. The statement itself says that the lower byte of result should be in the location number 0 cross 06 and higher byte should be saved at 0 cross 07. So we know that where we want to store our result. So let's equate these two. L byte underscore byte equate 0 cross 06 and H underscore byte equate 0 cross 07. What we want to do is move LW 0, that's just for safety, clear W register, then move WF H underscore byte, add WF 0 cross 40 and the result will be saved in W. So what this instruction will do is W is equal to 0 plus 7D hexa is equal to 7D hexa, and 7D is less than FF, so carry will be equal to 0 here. Then in the next step, we want to see whether the carry was 0 or 1. We know that it was 0, but the program will not know. So we have to check whether the carry was 0 or not. So B and C and 1. Otherwise, increment file register H byte. What it will do is it will branch if carry is equal to 0, as was the case here. Otherwise, it will increment the higher byte. The higher byte was initially 0. So if there was carry, this means that the sum exceeded 8-bit size. If the carry is 1, this will mean that the sum, the result, exceeded the size of a single register and it could not be contained within a single register. So the carry became 1 and that is now the 9th bit. So we have to save that 9th bit somewhere. And as stated in the example statement, the higher byte has to be saved at location number 7. So we just incremented the higher byte. When the carry was 1 just once, it will save the higher byte and increment it just once. When if the carry is 1 more than once, it will be incremented more than once. In this case, we know that carry was 0, so it will probably jump to the next instruction. So what should be the next instruction? N1. At N1, what we want to do is add WF 0 cross 4 1, and the result will be saved in W register. Again, what this instruction will do is W is equal to 7D plus EB is equal to 68 hexa, and now carry is equal to 1. So again we will write B and C N2, otherwise INCF H byte, and at N2 we will add WF 0 cross 4 to W. W is equal to 68H plus C5 is equal to 2D, and again C is equal to 1. So again B and C N3 INCF H byte, and N3 will add WF 0 cross 4 3 W. So W is equal to 2D plus 5B is equal to 88 hexa, and C is equal to 0. So as we can see that in our previous result, the sum of all these four operands is equal to 288 hexa. This is 2, this is 8, and this is 8. So this double 8 will be stored at location number 0 cross 06, and this 2 will be stored at location number 0 cross 07. This is 2, and we can see here that the carry was 2 twice during this operation, and we incremented the high byte twice during this operation. So now the H byte 0 cross 07 will contain 0 cross 02, that is 2. So the total sum, the result will be a 10-bit number precisely, or a we don't have 10-bit register, so that will be stored at two 8-bit location. One location will contain 88 hexa, and the higher byte will be stored in the second location. Okay, so up till now we have been talking about 8-bit numbers, but we recently saw that adding 4 8-bit numbers resulted in a number that was greater than 8-bit. So sometimes we may come across some situations where our numbers are greater than 8-bit in size, and they are stored in parts at multiple locations. For example, we have two numbers 3C-E7 and 3B-8D. These two are two 16-bit numbers. These two 16-bit numbers, let's say, have to be added in some application that we are implementing through our microcontroller. So how to add these numbers? 7 plus D is equal to 14. So that will be 4 and 1. Then we have 1 plus E plus 8, that will be equal to 17. So that is 7 and 1. Then we have C plus B plus 1, that will be equal to 1 8. So that will be 8 and 1, and that will be 7. Now the result will be 7874 hexadecimal number, and without any further carry out. We know that in PIC18 we cannot deal more than 8-bit numbers at a time. So we have to divide it halfway through. We first have to add these two numbers and then we have to add these two numbers. If we see here, these are two 8-bit numbers and the sum is also 8-bit, but a carry is out. So if we do E7 plus 8D, we get 174. So this 74 is 8-bit and this 1 is the carry. This is the 9th bit and that has to be considered while adding two 16-bit numbers or even larger numbers in parts. Let's write a program to add these two numbers by parts.
Okay, so let's do example number 5.3 of your textbook by Mazidi, PIC Microcontrollers and Embedded Systems. You can see here it is page number 174 and this is example number 5.3, and in this example we are supposed to write a program to add two 16-bit numbers. These numbers are 3CE7 hexadecimal and 3B8D hexadecimal. The author states that we can assume that file register locations 6 and 7 contain one number, that is 8D and 3B. So the upper byte of one number, that is 8D, is stored at one location, location number 6, and the upper byte is stored in location number 7, that is 3B. And what we are required to do is to sum these two numbers, these two 16-bit numbers, and place the result, the sum, in a file register location number 6 and 7. Location 6 should have the lower byte and location 7 should have the upper byte. The program is written here. The author is saying move LW E7. So a literal value is loaded into the working register. As we already said that we have to add them by parts. So we will add the lower byte to the lower byte and then we will add the upper byte to the upper byte. So this lower byte E7 here is loaded into the W register, and then the file register 0x06 that had the lower byte 8D of the second number is added to the W register. So now F is equal to W plus F, that was equal to E7 plus 8D is equal to 74 and the carry is equal to 1. Now we do have the sum of the lower bytes, and that sum is, the lower byte of sum is already stored at location number 6 because we said F here. So the result will be stored in file register, not the working register. Now what's left is we have to add the upper bytes of these two numbers, but we have to consider the carry also. So what we can do is we can move the literal value, move LW 0x3C. 3C is the upper byte of one number, and then add a working add to working register the file register that contains the upper byte of the second number. The second number's upper byte is 3B and that is present at location number 7, sorry. So we are adding location 7 to the working register, but with carry. Add working register to file register with carry. This C means that we are adding it with carry. So if the carry was 0, it would automatically add 3C plus 3B plus 0, and if the carry is 1, it would automatically add 3C plus 3B plus 1. So again the result is stored in file register. So F is equal to W plus F plus carry in this case, and the upper byte result, the result of sum will be stored in location number 7, and in this case the sum was equal to 7 8. There was no carry in this case. Let's assume that if these two numbers were resulting in a sum greater than FF hexa, again that would result in a carry, and the result of sum would even be greater than 2 bytes. It will go up to 3 bytes. So this is the basic example of adding two 16-bit numbers, two numbers greater than 8-bit using an 8-bit microcontroller.
Then finally, let's talk about the BCD numbers. Binary coded decimal numbers. BCD numbers are used in our everyday life, and these numbers range from 0 to 9, and they are solely meant for human interpretation. A computer won't bother if its input is given in the form of a hexadecimal number or a binary number or a decimal number. But it would be difficult for human beings to decipher or to interpret if they are given the values in hexadecimal or binary numbers. So humans mostly just recognize the counting from 0 to 9. But in this case, we know that an 8-bit register can count from 0 to F 00 to FF 0 to 255. These 8 bits or 1 byte, they are by default, they count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, and E, and then F. So up till 9 it is okay, but after 9 that A, B, C, D cannot be recognized by the human as 10, 11, 12, 13 up to 15. Most of the microcontrollers, even the most basic ones, they have devised a solution for this problem, because these microcontrollers will be used eventually for interaction with human beings. For example, if we want to make a wall clock, a digital wall clock, we have to display the hours, minutes, and seconds, and those should be between 0 and 9. There shouldn't be any alphabets A, B, C, D, E while displaying the time. So what we do is we use the BCD numbers. There are two types of BCD numbers: packed and unpacked. Packed BCD numbers are, they have two numbers in one byte, and unpacked have one number in one byte. What this means is 0000 0000 to 1001 1001. So they are two separate numbers from 0 to 9 and from 0 to 9, and this means that this packed number can range from 00 to 99. On the other hand, in unpacked BCD numbers, the upper bytes is always 0 and the lower byte ranges from 0000 to 1001, that is 9. So this will range from 00 to 09. Using packed BCD numbers have advantage of saving ROM space, and it also has advantage when we are using physical ports for input output. So we would like to display two numbers on a single port rather than wasting half the port and display just one number on a single port. For example, we can display 00 to 99 on port A, and from here in this case we can display only 00 to 09 on full port A. The rest of the 4 pins are wasted. So we don't want that. We already have very limited number of physical input outputs. So we don't want to waste any single pin. That's why we will use packed BCD numbers, and we will prefer to use them in our applications. Now the question is how to convert this hexadecimal number into a BCD number. Fortunately, we do have a single command, a dedicated command for that in the basic instruction set. Let's start with an example. What if we want to add 17 and 28? The result we are expecting is 45 if we add it normally. But what does 17 mean in hexadecimal numbers? 1 and 7. And what does 28 means is 2 and 8 on different locations. So let's try to add 1 7 and 2 8 in hexadecimal numbers. It is giving us 3F. It is not giving us 4 5. We have to convert this 3F to 4 5. That can be done using a single command. There are certain rules if that command does not exist, but that command already takes care of all those rules, and that command is DAW, decimal adjust working register. Let's do an example. Move LW 0 cross 1 7, add LW 0 cross 2 8. Now W is equal to 3F. What we want to do is we want to convert this 3F to 4 5. So what we will do is we will write just DAW. DAW will convert W to 45. How it will convert 3F to 45? It will check for 3 things. The first thing it will check is whether the least significant 4 bits were greater than 9. It will also check whether the most significant nibble or most significant 4 bytes were greater than 9, and it will check whether the carry or digital carry were 1. In all these cases, if any of them is true, it will add 6 to upper or lower nibble accordingly. Let's see how. 1 7 2 8. It was F. 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 is equal to F, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So this is 3. Now first let's see what is digital carry. Digital carry is equal to 1 when the addition of lower nibble results in an overflow within an 8-bit number. In this case, there was no overflow. 7 plus 8 is 15, that is F. So F can be represented by 4-bit number, a single 4-bit number. So the digital carry is 0. Also, 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 plus 0 is 3. So 3 can be represented by a single 4-bit number and the carry is equal to 0. But this number, this lower nibble is equal to F, that is greater than 9. So what it will do is it will add 6 to the lower nibble because the lower nibble was greater. F plus 6 means 15 plus 6 is what? 21, that is equal to 5. Now F is already the maximum value that can be stored in a 4-bit number. So if we add 6 to it, it will first overflow to 0 and then it will start from 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5. Now this is 5 and now the digital carry will be equal to 1. So 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. Adding 6 to the least significant byte will convert that hexadecimal number into a BCD number. And you don't have to do this step. You don't have to add this 6. You don't have to check for DC or C. You just have to write this command and this command will automatically convert an overflowed hexadecimal number into a true BCD number ranging from 0 to 9. Let's do an other example to make it further clear. Okay, so what we want to do is, let's see, this is our PIC microcontroller. Then this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is our port A, 8-bit port. Here, if we use BCD numbers, they are all 4-bit numbers and they will count from 0 to 9. But if we add a BCD to 7-segment decoder here, BCD to 7-segment decoder, and then we connect a 7-segment display here. So if we send values from 0 to 9 through the lower nibble of port A and 0 to 9 from the upper nibble of port A, we can count from 00 to 99 using a single port. Similarly, for port B, we can make the same decoders and 2 7-segment displays here. So it can also count from 00 to 99, and on port D also we can, or port C also, we can attach 2 displays, and those 2 displays can also count from 00 to 99. Using this, we can make a clock. We can use this one as seconds, this one port B for minutes, and this port C for hours. So we will count from 0 to 60 or 59, 0 to 59 and 0 to 23. If we make a loop that can count from 0 to 59 and that can display 0 to 59 with a delay of 1 second, we already have made the seconds loop for our digital clock. So this we will be doing right now in the lecture, and these 2 loops, these 2 remaining loops for hours and minutes, that you will have to develop as an assignment. So let's start making a program for this loop, and we will be sending 00 to 59 on port B, port A for the seconds loop. But first I will confirm whether the port A is 8-bit or not, and then we will choose a port that is 8-bit long. I think port A is only 7-bit long, so I think we should use port B for seconds loop for this purpose, for this seconds loop. So let's start.
Okay, so let's start writing the code. Let's equate the count for seconds, count seconds equate 0 cross 0 0, then seconds equate port B because it's an 8-bit port, and then for delay I will equate R1, R2 and R3. R1 equate 0 cross 0 1, R2 equate 0 cross 0 2, and R3 equates 0 cross 0 3. So we have given names to our variables for our convenience. Then originate the program for 00 hexa, clearf, press B. This will make port B as an output. Then we will clearf port B because we want to remove garbage value from the port B. Now we will start making the loop. So in the loop we want to count from 0 to 59. So let's move a literal value of 60 decimal into working register, and then move this working register, move WF to count seconds. This will load the count for seconds with a value of 60. Now increment file register port B. We are incrementing port B. Decrement file register and skip if 0 count seconds. It will decrement the count for seconds and it will skip the next instruction if the count is 0. But if the count is not 0, just simply go to again. Where is again? Again increment port B, and we have to call a delay here. So this is a delay for 1 second. If the count is 60, what we want to do is we want to reload this count and we want to keep doing it in a loop. So what we can do is go to reload count, and the reload count should be here. Now make a delay subroutine. I will copy and paste my delay subroutine from the previous lecture. So here is my delay subroutine. I have made a delay of 1 second here. I have used R1, R2 and R3, so no issues with that. And I think it's done. So now let's add the configuration bits to this code. To add the configuration bits, go to the Windows, go to the target memory views, and then go to the configuration bits. Here you can see the configuration bits. If I put them here and let me zoom in. First of all, we have to select the clock source. So we are not using any prescaler. then we are using high speed oscillator, that is good. And then we fail safe clock monitor, we have turned it off. Internal external oscillator switch, we have turned it off. Power up timer enable, we have turned it off. Brownout reset enable, we have turned it off. Watchdog timer WDT, we have turned it off. That must be off because this was causing problem previously. PBA DEN port B analog digital enable, we have to turn it off to make them digital input output on reset. So MCLRE master clear enable bit is on. Now this is the configuration that we need right now. So let's generate a source code to the output. Control A, Control C, copy that code and paste it on the top of our code that we just wrote. So now I think this code should compile. Let's try. Yes, it is compiled successfully. So okay, so here we have our Proteus. I have already connected two 7-segment displays, and these 7-segment displays, if I double click them, they are okay, let me tell you, they are the components 7-segment BCD green. So these 7-segment displays take input in the form of BCD numbers, 4-bit numbers. They do not take input in the form of regular 7-segment displays that have 7 inputs. So they only take 4 inputs that are in BCD numbers. So let's simulate our program and see whether it is working like it should or whether it is not working like it should. So I think that it will give some error because we have not used the decimal adjust command to adjust the BCD numbers. Let's see, it is displaying 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and then it will display A. So it is not showing 0 to 9 but it is also showing the hexadecimal numbers. That is not what we need right now. So we have to go back to our code and we have to see what should we do, where should we use the decimal adjust command to omit the hexadecimal numbers and keep only the binary coded decimal numbers that are from 0 to 9. At this point here, when we are incrementing the port B, want to decimal adjust its value to make it BCD instead of hexadecimal. What we can do here is we can add working register and file register. First move LW1, add 1 to the working register, then add working register and file register. Which file register? Port B, and the result will be saved by default in working register. If we specify we have to save it in file register only, then it will be saved in file register. If we don't specify, it will be automatically saved in working register. So now what's happening is we are moving 1 to working register, then we are adding port B to that. So we are incrementing port B, but the result is currently in working register, and that is what we want because the D and W command only works on the working register. So now the working register has the value of incremented port B. All we want to do is move WF back to port B. What these 4 lines will do is add 1 to port B, decimal adjust it in the working register and move it back to the port B. I think this will serve the purpose. Let's build it and try to simulate it. So let's open the Proteus and run it again. It will automatically reload the new file. It's stuck at 1. Our Proteus simulation was stuck at 1. It was not moving. and I figured it out that at line 85, when we are adding the working register and file register, we want to store the result in W register. I thought it is by default stored in W register, but I think we have to specify it here that we want to store it in W register, and for that we have to write comma W or comma 0 here. So I have added this 0 on this line to make sure that the result of addition is stored in W register, and then we decimal adjust the W register. One more change that I have made in this program is to move this reload count label from this point to this point, because I want to clear the port B after the reload occurs, after the overflow occurs. So if I do not clear the port B after the overflow, it will not clear the port and it will keep incrementing it from 60 onwards. So this is the first change that I made, and this is the second change that I made. And now let's try to simulate our program again. So after building this file, let's open the Proteus file. It will automatically load the new file into the controller. So let's just run this, and we can see that hopefully it will be working as per requirements. See, so after 9 it automatically went to 10. So let's wait until it finishes counting up to 59. In the meanwhile, this is your loop for seconds part of your digital clock. The main part has been done. Now what you are required to do is to make 2 more loops for minutes and hours. The minutes will increment after a completion of a loop of 60 seconds, and the hour will increment after the completion of a loop of 60 minutes. Okay, so here it is going from 00 to 60 and then resetting. It should reset after 59. Because we are using a count of 60 here, we have to change this count from 60 to 59, and then it will work fine. What you can do is you can copy this code for the seconds part and make 2 more loops for minutes and hours, and send me the code as an assignment number 5. I will upload the assignment 5 soon in the Teams, inshallah. So that's it for today's lecture. If you have any questions, please use the week 10 in Teams, the chat of week 10s, and I'll try to answer your queries there. Also, we'll hopefully have a live session this week on Thursday. So hope to see you guys soon, inshallah. Take care. Allah Hafiz.